Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Week 12 NFL reactions. We have so much to talk about this week, so we're going to get right to it, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm not going to give you guys this big old conversation about what to do because you already know what to do. So let's get straight into the Week 12 reactions and cue that intro. We're going to begin with Thursday Night Football, and that is the Browns actually beating the Steelers. Crazy, man. I was not expecting this at all. Justin Fields came in a little bit mid-game. Russell Wilson was actually super accurate, 270 yards and a touchdown. He actually had a really good game, better than most people thought. Running game was very limited, although Jaylen Warren did have a touchdown. The receiving touchdown was caught by Calvin Austin, who also had 3 receptions for 78 yards, and Pat Freiermuth had 4 receptions for 59 yards, and to my surprise, George Pickens was pretty limited. And the defense overall, I mean, even though just one forced fumble and 2 forced fumbles and a couple sacks, wasn't really able to stop this Jameis Winston led offense. And that'll bring me to the Browns, where Jameis Winston didn't have the greatest career game, but it was enough to stop the Browns defense. The Steelers defense. Nick Chubb was not really that good. 20 attempts for 59 yards and 2 touchdowns at least. He does not look the same. Jameis Winston even had a rushing touchdown. And now looking at receiving, Nick Chubb even had a catch. They were getting actually a lot of people involved. Jerry Jeudy had 6 receptions for 85 yards. He had a game. And no one was able to sack or pick off Russ, but was able to get a forced fumble and a turnover. So, overall, I mean, congrats to the Browns. They're looking much better ever since they got rid of Deshaun Watson. Well, Deshaun Watson got hurt. But, yeah, so, like, that's it. Like, the entire problem was just Deshaun Watson. I mean, it seems that way. And now we have the Cowboys surprisingly beating the Washington Commanders in the Commanders' home stadium. And this was crazy. I mean, Cooper Rush actually had a good game for once, and that's insane. Ezekiel Elliott, again, I don't know what he's still doing on this team. Rico Dowdle's just taking all of his carries. Receiving, CeeDee Lamb has been limited this entire season. Jalen Tolbert keeps stealing all of his touchdowns. Luke Schoonmaker even had a touchdown. He came out of the blue. And the defense was, I mean, how you would expect it to be. Although they did get a interception, which was the weirdest interception I've ever seen. Jaden Daniels had a absolute horrible game. 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. That's his season high. Jaden Daniels even had a rushing touchdown, and Zach Ertz even had a receiving touchdown, and Terry McLaurin absolutely went off this game. You love to see that. And Bobby Wagner, as you expect, we get a forced fumble. But other than that, nobody could get anything going on defense. And hey, Austin Seibert, if you're watching this video, if it makes you feel any better, Kevontae Turpin was just going to take that touchdown, that kick return all the way to the house anyway. So, you weren't missing out on much there. And now we have the Chiefs barely beating the Panthers. I'm not sure if I'm seeing the right one, but Patrick Mahomes actually finally had a good game. I mean, golly, it took him long enough. Rushing, Patrick Mahomes had 60 yards. Kareem Hunt was kind of limited. Receiving, honestly, Noah Gray. Like, if your backup tight end's getting more receptions or just getting more touchdowns than your right now, like your starting tight end, then you have a serious problem. DeAndre Hopkins had a touchdown, as you expect, and your defense was just horrible the whole entire game. Like, Bryce Young absolutely cooked you guys. Like, what's going on? Chuba Hubbard had a touchdown, had him on my fantasy team. David Moore had a touchdown. He came out of the blue. And the defense, I mean, as much as you don't want to admit it, was very disruptive They were able to get to Mahomes 5 times. That's insane. So, overall, Kansas City, if I were you, I would be extremely embarrassed. I would not be I would not want to show my face in the NFL. To only beat the Panthers by 3 points, you guys have a serious problem. And you guys need to fix that problem, or you guys may not even make it to the AFC Championship this year. Now we have the Titans beating the Texans. Oh my gosh, my Pick'ems league is doing horrible. Will Levis actually had a good game for once. Like, I was with all these surprises. Tony Pollard absolutely had a game. Chikazi Okonkwo had a touchdown. Nick Westbrook, what's his last name, had a touchdown. The defense was, it was okay. It was able to get 2 interceptions, but still give up, 27 points. C.J. Stroud just continues. I don't know what's going on with C.J. Stroud this season, but he's got to fix something. Joe Mixon had his worst game of his entire season so far. Cade Stover had a touchdown. Nico Collins absolutely went off as expected. Your INT went to Jimmy Ward. Mario Edwards Jr. even had an interception. Titans, congrats to you. Texans, I don't know what in the world's going on with you guys, but you guys are not as dominant as you were last year. And something's got to change, otherwise you guys may get bounced first round. No shocker here. The Dolphins absolutely destroy the Patriots. Just overall, there's not really much to speak of. You guys literally couldn't do anything on the ground. Passing, just defense, you guys just couldn't do anything. You guys were down by 30 points at one point in the game. Tua absolutely went off. There's the 2023 Tua that we know. Devon Achane wasn't very productive rushing, but was also very productive receiving. Tyreek Hill, he's probably bust of the year for fantasy football. Jalen Waddle absolutely had a game. Defense was so disruptive, sacking Drake May over, I think 4 times, and Jordan Brooks had a forced fumble. So Dolphins, you guys may be climbing back to that second place spot. You guys may not be beating Buffalo, but you guys, I don't know, if you keep this up, you guys could be looking at a potential wild card spot. Patriots, there's nothing much to say. Your season's been over since week 1. You guys are in the rebuilding phase, and that's okay. It's just not pretty. We have the Lions absolutely obliterating the Colts, and again, this was very much expected. We all knew this was going to happen. Jared Goff, 26 for 36. He was very accurate. 269 yards though. Rushing, it was mainly just a rushing day. Jahmyr Gibbs once again continues to be an Offensive Player of the Year candidate. David Montgomery, he was okay too, but there's not as much to speak of as Jahmyr Gibbs. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown had a couple receptions. He actually led the league he led the team in receptions. Jameson Williams had more yards though. Overall, I just liked how they spread it out this week. And then the defense, even though they didn't really get anything, they didn't get a sack, interception, or forced fumble. They were so disruptive. And Anthony Richardson, the Colts, what's more to say? He's so inaccurate. Look at 39 completion percentage. That's insane. Rushing was just very limited. Jonathan Taylor, if I were Jonathan Taylor, I would request a trade right out of there. Receiving, other than Michael Pittman, receiving was very limited. Overall, there's just not much to speak of. The Colts have looked terrible. By far, the disappointment of the year. We have the Buccaneers absolutely blowing the brakes off of the Giants. Much expected. Baker Mayfield, 24 for 30. He only completed 6 passes the entire game, 294 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, but did have a rushing touchdown. Matter of fact, all 3 of their running backs had a rushing touchdown, including Baker Mayfield. Bucky Irving, I had him on my fantasy. I was a happy boy. Cade Otton had a reception for 30 yards. That's quite insane. Bucky Irving had 64 receiving yards. Mike Evans even had 5 receptions. He's looking good. Just no Chris Godwin. And once you take one piece out of the puzzle, you take away it all. And the defense, once again, just very disruptive. Tommy Cutlets couldn't do anything, although he only incompleted 10 passes. He was very accurate, but man, he's not getting any help. And rushing's not much to talk about. Receiving's not much to talk about. Just nothing else to talk about. I hope, honestly, I feel bad for the Giants at this point. I hope they get the number 1 seed so they can draft Shedeur Sanders and just get on with their lives. So congrats to you, Buccaneers. And seems like you own the NFC East. You've beaten the Giants, you've beaten the Eagles, and now you've beaten the Commanders. So good on you guys. Now we have the thriller between the Vikings and the Bears, where the Vikings almost lost. I was thinking that they were going to lose for a sec. Not even lying. Sam Darnold had a absolutely insane game. Aaron Jones had an insane game. Just overall, the Vikings offense had no problems. It was their defense that had like a very bad game. Although Andrew Van Ginkel did have a sack. Caleb Williams, once again, I'm saying it again. One game he could throw like 140 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and then another week he can have games like this. Rushing was very, very limited. Seems like DeAndre Swift's going back to his old self. Receiving was led by DJ Moore, who actually had the best game of his entire season so far. Keenan Allen was very productive as well. And once again, the defense wasn't really much to speak of, although Jonathan Owens did have a forced fumble. So yeah, overall, Bears, you looked really good. Vikings, you looked really good. Vikings, honestly, you guys are legit contenders this year. But much more than I thought. Oh, I know I say that every week, but man, you guys really surprised me this year. Now we have the Broncos beating the Raiders by only 10 points. That's a lot less than I thought it was going to be. Raiders actually put up a fight at the start. Bo Nix, 25 for 42, 273, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Running game as you'd expect it to be. And receiving was led by Courtland Sutton. Who else? He caught 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions for 97 yards. And now the defense, other than an interception and a forced fumble, didn't really do that much. And now it brings me to the Raiders offense, where Gardner Minshew didn't have the worst game in the world, but also didn't have the best. Rushing was just absolutely horrible as usual. Receiving was led by Jacoby Myers. Averaged 12.1 yards a reception. That's good. Brock Bowers, for the first time this season, was limited. And then the defense, as you expect, couldn't get anything going. So, yeah, Raiders, I hope you... it's really a battle between you guys and the Giants to get the number 1 seed. I'm rooting for the Giants because I want them to get Shedeur Sanders so we can absolutely cook them in our division. But overall, Broncos, much like the Vikings, you guys are legitimate contenders this year to finish behind the Chiefs at second place. Now we have the America's Womp Womp game of the week, which was a eye burner between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. This game was the ugliest thing I've ever had to see. Kyler Murray didn't have the worst game, but again, didn't throw a lot of interceptions. He didn't throw a lot of touchdowns. He didn't throw any touchdowns. Kyler Murray also was very limited on the ground. Overall, they were just so limited on the ground. Like James Conner, 7 attempts for 8 yards. Receiving was really led by Trey McBride, who had an absolutely insane game. Golly. And then the defense, they were able to do a lot. Geno Smith, if you look at this, Geno Smith was absolutely horrible. He just wasn't that good. Running game was horrible. Receiving game was also not the greatest, but it really came down to their defense. That was the best, and they were only holding the Cardinals to 6 points. Like, how does the Seattle Seahawks defense absolutely obliterate the Cardinals, but the Jets defense doesn't? That doesn't make any sense. We have the Packers absolutely demolishing the 49ers. Golly. Braylon Allen. You guys need Brock Purdy back. Christian McCaffrey just looks absolutely horrible. Receiving and rushing. It's just the whole 49ers team just could not do anything this entire game. Packers, Jordan Love had a great game. 104. Actually, it wasn't too bad, but it also wasn't the greatest. Josh Jacobs absolutely went off this entire game. Receiving was a different story. You guys were a little bit limited, but your defense was just absolutely insane. And what do you know? what a shocker. Xavier McKinney had an interception. Xavier McKinney. I mean, like, it's kind of funny that the Giants let go of Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney, and now they're playing better than they have in, like, a decade. And that's insane. I know the score doesn't say it, but now we have the Eagles absolutely demolishing the Los Angeles Rams. Okay, and now taking a look, Jalen Hurts went off. He was super accurate, 179, a touchdown, no picks. Once again, a turnover-free game. Was very, as much as I don't want to admit it, was very productive on the ground. I mean, he made plays when they were needed. Kenneth Gainwell had a touchdown, but what we have to talk about, what is this? 26 attempts for 255 yards. And 4 receptions for 47 yards. 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley's not human. I don't care what you people say. Saquon Barkley's not human. It might be the favorite for MVP right now. And definitely the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year. Him and Jalen, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, 2 top 5 favorites for MVP. I don't care what people say. Receiving, once again, was just absolutely decimated by A.J. Brown. He absolutely went off. The defense, I mean, just Quinyon Mitchell just absolutely locked down. I know he didn't have any any interceptions, but he was just so disruptive over Cooper Kupp. Nakobe Dean had a forced fumble on Kyren Williams. And my prayers really go out to Brandon Graham. What a way, just such a tragic way to end your season, especially since he was able to get one more sack before he left. Josh Sweat continues to dominate. Nakobe Dean continues to dominate. Milton Williams absolutely went off. And now that'll bring me to the Rams, where they just, overall, I mean, they were okay, but they just couldn't really do much against this dominant Eagles defense. The Eagles defense has the best defense in the league. They've given up the least amount of yards per game. Kyren Williams had an okay day. Demarcus Robinson had it. Cooper Kupp had it. He was very, very, very limited by Puka Nacua. Was just absolutely cooked Darius Slay and Isaiah Rodgers. The defense was just not enough to stop Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and this offense. And we did this all while Devontae Smith was missing the game. So, Rams, I would be embarrassed. Now we have the Monday Night Football, which was the Ravens beating the Chargers by a touchdown. Lamar Jackson had him on my fantasy team. He absolutely went off. Lamar Jackson even had a rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry just continues to be overall. I don't know what drugs Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley took this offseason, but whatever they did, it worked. Like, it worked hard. Derrick Henry just, I don't know what is up with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, but they're just looking better than they've ever looked. Mark Andrews was very, very productive. Defense wasn't really as good. Now bring me to the Chargers, where Justin Herbert to only 218 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Gus Edwards, I mean, this was a very running back touchdown game. It was a very good defensive game for them. Although, I mean, not rushing stopping defense, because overall Derrick Henry cooked you guys. But overall, it was like the passing defense that was good. Although the stats didn't really say it, they were actually pretty disruptive. More disruptive that you holding Lamar Jackson to only 177 passing yards. So overall, I mean, very, very good week of football. Now let's get into my Postmetrics Player of the Week. Sure, you can all guess who it is at this point. It's Saquon Barkley. I mean, you would actually have to have something wrong with you in order to say it was anyone else. I mean, it wasn't anyone else. Over 300 yards from scrimmage, and 2 touchdowns. I don't understand what planet Saquon came from, but he came from a planet that's out of this universe, and now the Eagles are flying high. That's going to do it for my Week 12 NFL reactions. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys are going to stay tuned for my Survivor Series War Games predictions coming this Thursday, hopefully. So without further ado, I'll see y'all guys the next time I upload. Peace, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.